Welcome into the 26th episode of The Ivy. As I'm Thomas and I'll be here with you for the next 30 minutes or so, probably more like 40, to dive into everything Cubs related. If you like the Cubs, you've come to the right place, and I'm extremely grateful you took some time out of your busy schedule to join me here. Alright, well tonight we're going to be touching on this last series sweep to begin the second half of Cubs baseball against the Pittsburgh Pirates, along with the NL Central standings and how the rest of the MLB has looked. However, today, since the Cubs and the rest of the MLB had the All-Star Week, that was this last week, since I've talked to you guys last Sunday, we're going to be going over a little bit highlights of the Home Run Derby along with the All-Star Game. So we're going to start with the Home Run Derby, and basically the highlight of this was the big matchup between Jock Peterson and Vlad Guerrero in the semifinals. That kind of stole the show. Pete Alonso did end up beating Vlad in the final, but Vlad, I believe it was like 44 home or 43 to 42. They went to like 2 or 3 overtimes, or at least, whatever it's called, swing offs. And Vlad was just crazy good. I think at the end he was a little bit tired, and that's why Alonso won. But that was very entertaining. And then looking to the All-Star Game where the Cubs finally got their first action of the All-Star Week. It was disappointing, though, sort of. The AL won their 7th straight game, and as far as the Cubs, they didn't really do a whole lot at all. They went 0 for 5. There was a couple solid contact, especially by Contreras in his first at-bat, I believe it was. Going up against Tanaka. He hit one right back to Tanaka, who fielded it and threw him out for the third out. But yeah, Contreras was 0 for 2. Javi was 0 for 2 with a strikeout in his first at-bat. And then Chris Bryant had one at-bat. It was a pinch hit, and I think he flew out. Maybe it was a strikeout. Yeah, it was a strikeout. Never mind. He pinch hit for Yelich. And like I said, the AL won 4-3 in this game, their 7th straight win. It was a pretty boring game. I mean, the pitching was good, but not one player in this whole game had more than one hit. And that was the reason why Cleveland's starter Shane Bieber won the the All-Star Game MVP. He had a 1-2-3, trying to figure out here, the 5th inning, 1-2-3 5th inning, which he struck out the side, and he won the MVP. I know that a lot of people disagreed with that, and they thought that maybe Gallo should have won it, or Brantley. But anyways, congrats to Shane Bieber, and hopefully the NL can get back. I mean, it's been a while, 7 times straight. It's pretty crazy. Yeah. Anyways, hopefully the NL can get back to the winning ways next year. And doing this, also, I just wanted to mention, rest in peace to Tyler Skaggs. That was so horrific. And I can't exactly remember I think it was actually the day before I did the podcast. Maybe it was on Sunday. I don't exactly remember. But I think I forgot to mention it last time around. But just, so tragic. But the things that the Angels have done, I mean, that no-hitter a couple nights ago, it's just absolutely incredible. Mike Trout's first homer since Skaggs passed away. Went 454 feet, and Skaggs wore number 45. The last no-hitter in Los Angeles was the day Skaggs was actually born, and the day after they threw the no-hitter, that was going to be Tyler Skaggs' 28th birthday. Just crazy stats. Everything lined up with that game, and the fact that they no-hit the Mariners. I think it was on Friday night, if I remember right, but just crazy. I mean, God is real, and rest in peace to Tyler Skaggs. So anyways, we're going to get into the first series back for the Cubs, and it was a great one. They started off on Friday with a 4-3 victory over the Pirates. It was actually a scoreless game through 6 innings. But in the seventh inning, finally the Cubs got on the board. That was via Kris Bryant's solo home run, his 18th of the year. And Kris has just had a phenomenal season. And kind of underrated in a way. I wouldn't say he should be most certainly in MVP talks, because I've seen that. I think that might be a little bit bold, but people don't understand what Kris Bryant's doing, and like many people have said, it's because of his inconsistency with runners in scoring position, but he's still putting together a solid year, and he continued that on Friday to get the Cubs finally on the board and break the scoreless tie. And then Robel Garcia hit a sac fly to score Rizzo, and David Bodie took a walk to make it 3-0. However, Starling Marte, who had a crazy good series in Wrigley this weekend, it's too bad they couldn't get a win with how good of a series he had, especially with some, with his long balls, 3 home runs in the series. He hit his first one, a 3-run game-tying home run in the 8th. That was off Pedro Strop, if I remember. Yep, and Strop got the blown save, his 3rd of the year. He only recorded 2 outs, gave up 2 hits, a walk, and then the 3 earned runs there on the home run from Starling Marte. However, Jason Hayward, who had a good series as well, he had the big hit, a go-ahead RBI single, the game-winning RBI single in the 8th inning, and that one came off of Kyle Crick, who lost his 5th game of the season. As for the starters in this one, it was Yu Darvish taking the mound to begin the second half for the Cubs, and he was great. He went 6 innings with 2 hits, 1 walk, no runs, and 8 strikeouts. And he was at 94 pitches. I think he could have went 1 more, and I kind of expected him to with the way he was rolling, but it worked out, I guess, in a way, with Kyle Ryan and Steve Cishek coming in the 7th. Obviously, Strop blew it in the 8th, but I don't know if you can really blame that on Darvish not going 1 more inning. And then Craig Kimbrell had a 1-2-3 ninth as he earned his 3rd save as a Chicago Cub. On the other side, Chris Archer was pretty good, actually really good. He had the strikeout pitch working with double-digit strikeouts at 10 across 6 innings of work. He did give up those 3 earned runs in the 7th, but his team took him off the hook for the loss with that 3-run 8th. As like I said before, Kyle Crick got the loss for the Pirates in Game 1. Moving on to yesterday's game, July 13th, the Cubs pounded, they destroyed the Pittsburgh Pirates by a score 10-4. It was 10-0 at a point. The Cubs actually didn't score past the 4th inning, while the Pirates tacked on 4 from the 5th inning on. But anyways, it started right away. This was the first start for righty Jordan Lyles since his last start against the Cubs in Pittsburgh, in which, if you remember, that was the game that Joe Madden got ejected after Javier Baez was thrown to up and in. And then a couple batters later, people forget, David Bodie was hit in the head. I wouldn't say that was necessarily intentional, but it definitely didn't help the case there with how frustrated the Cubs clubhouse was and team was with the way Lyles threw up and in there, and we've seen it from the Pirates from the past. Well, anyways, he got what he deserved in the first inning, at least for what the Cubs thought, as they put on 7 runs in the first inning. Started with an Anthony Rizzo RBI single. Contreras hit a 3-run homer to make it 4-0, and then John Lester had a 2-run single off the wall. It probably should have been a double, but he only got one. He only got 1 base, and then Javier Baez, in his second at-bat of the inning, as 12 batters reached base in this game, in the first inning. 12 batters reached plate in the first inning. There was 5 walks and 4 hits, and in that first inning, and Javier Baez, like I said, his second at-bat of the inning, an RBI double to score John Lester to make it 7-0, and that was all the Cubs needed, and Lester was phenomenal with the bat as well. Like I said, he had that 2-run single in the first, and then his next at-bat, he had his first home run of 2019. That was a solo homer. Also, I should mention that Jordan Lyles didn't even get out of the first. He only recorded 2 outs, and all those runs were earned off of him. I want to make sure that Yeah, all 7 earned were off of him. And Chris Stratton wasn't good either. That's the pitcher who Lester hit it off of, the homer off of, and he only went 3 1/3 with 5 hits and 3 earned runs. And then in the 4th, the Cubs just kept it going. Addison Russell had a 2-run single, and he ended up at 3rd, actually, because of a throwing error by Brian Reynolds. So after 4 innings of play, it was 10-0. And then 2 of Starling Marte's 3 home runs. Obviously, he hit that first one on Friday. He hit 2 more in the late innings, in the 6th and the 8th, along with a Jung Ho Gong homer. However, all 3 homers for the Pirates were all solo shots, as the bullpen wasn't very good in this one. Lester went 6 2/3 with 8 hits, 3 earned runs, 0 walks, which was good to see, and 6 strikeouts. Brandon Kinsler was good. He got his out, as he hasn't given up a run since, I think, like mid-May. I think it's May 19th. Randy Rosario was the guy who struggled, an inning and a third with 3 hits and an earned run. But the Cubs were victorious as they won 10-4, and John Lester improved to 6-2 at Wrigley Field this year in 2019. Let's move on to today's game as the Cubs completed the series sweep with a mini comeback victory. They began it with a Robel Garcia RBI single in the 2nd inning to make it 1-0. However, Jose Quintana gave up a 3-run 3rd inning, and the Pirates took a 3-1 lead. I think this was the first time we saw the Pirates lead in the series. Yeah, it was, because we killed them yesterday, and then we were up 3-0, and they tied it on Friday 3-3, but we won 4-3. So it was the first time they led in the series. But the Cubs didn't let that last long, as they backed up Quintana, and Quintana actually backed up himself for the next run. It was an RBI single to cut the deficit to 1 after 4 innings, and then in the 5th inning and 6th inning, the Cubs put on 3 runs each to pull away, just totally pulled away, as Jose Quintana actually did finish strong with 6 innings pitched. But anyways, it was 3-2 after 4 innings, like I said. And then Victor Caratini had a game-tying sacrifice fly to tie the game at 3-3. And then Jason Hayward, with his 15th homer of the season, a guy that we've seen tremendous power from, a 2-run shot, a go-ahead 2-run shot to make it 5-3. In the 6th inning, we saw Albert Almora's first ever pinch hit home run. That was his 9th of the season, a solo shot to make it 6-3. And Kyle Schwarber, back-to-back pitches, back-to-back home runs for the Cubs to make it 7-3, his 19th of the year. And then Anthony Rizzo scored Javier Baez on a sac fly to cap off the second 3-run inning for the Cubs in the 6th. And no one scored in the 7th, 8th, or 9th, as the Cubs bullpen was good as well. Brandon Kinsler with an inning scoreless. He did give up 2 hits, but no walks and no runs, as he lowered his season ERA to an otherworldly 1.91 mark. Kyle Ryan with a scoreless inning, and now he has a 3.31 ERA, as he's improved lately. And Tyler Chatwood, it was good to see him get a good, clean inning of work. And Trevor Williams on the other side got roughed up in this one with 11 hits and 8 earned runs, along with 3 walks in just 5 1/3 innings. Jose Quintana won his 7th game of the year. He's now back to 500. He gave up 3 earned across 6 innings with 4 strikeouts. So anyways, it was a great first series for the Cubs. 13 hits today. Yesterday we had, So on Friday we had only 6, but we were able to show that even after giving up a lead, that we didn't see that in the first half, and that I remember when that happened on Friday, noticing that because when we gave up a lead late innings, we usually lost the game. But it was good to see that we powered through and kept a clean mind, and Jason Hayward brought around that game-winning run on Friday in Game 1. And then on Saturday, obviously, we just destroyed them. And that was more like what we saw in 2016 with just killing pitchers in the beginning of games. The 7-run first inning was flashbacks to that year. And everything was clicking for the Cubs. And then today, falling behind early, not getting down, and sticking with what we were doing. Only 2 runs through 4 innings, but then you saw the 2 3-run innings really pushed the Cubs to victory. And 13 hits